Do you remember solving jigsaw puzzles? Isn't it exciting to slowly see pieces coming together? Today, I would like to recreate the jigsaw puzzle experience using touch nodons and a simple drag and drop mechanic. At the end, we will solve the puzzle together and see what the picture is. And before we start, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to press subscribe not to miss any future tutorial. Okay, so what you see in this tutorial are what are touch inputs nodons, and how to create a simple drag and drop UI. So first of all, what are the touch inputs? There are multiple ways to activate touch inputs. In the handheld mode, you can activate it by tapping on the screen. In the dock mode, you can either move your Joy-Con around and press R to imitate the tap action, or connect the USB mouse and click on the screen. So now we know what are touch inputs, but how can the game know when we touch the screen? With that, we need these two nodons, and those are if touched nodon and touch position nodon. And these two can be found at input, touch screen, and here they are if touched and touch position nodon. I will continue explaining one by one. Let's start with if touched. In the if touched settings, there are two parameters. The first one is output timing and the second one is touch where to output. Let me explain the first parameter, output timing. There are two options. The first one is on touch. When the output is on touch, it will only give a triggered signal the moment that we touch the screen. See, there is a flickering between 0 and 1. On the other hand, if we select the output timing to be while touched, now it will give a constant signal of 1 while it is touched. Let's talk about the second parameter, touch where to output. When we select this nodon, it means that it will only send a signal when we touch where this nodon is placed. But when we touch outside this place, it will not send any signal. So when is this useful? This is useful when you have let's say a piano. So what will happen is when I tap on this key, I will play this sound. Okay, let's try it. So when I touch here, I can hear some sound. Yes. Let's go back to the setting. The second option of touch where to output is anywhere. This means no matter where I touch on the screen, this nodon will give an output 1. Now we are done with the first nodon. We still have one more in the touch screen input nodon. That is touch position nodon. Touch position nodon output the position where we touch the screen like this. But how do we know which value will be output? So let's look at this Nintendo Switch image. The screen size is always 1280 on horizontal axis and 720 on vertical axis. The center always has x equal to 0 and y equal to 0. If you touch at the top, y would be 360 because it is from 720 divided by 2. At the bottom, it would be negative 360 instead. For x, we have to divide it both sides, right? So each side will have 640 pixels, which is from 1280 divided by 2. So the left and right would be negative 640 and 640 respectively. Let me show you one more example. If I haven't touched anything, it will output 00. Let's say when I touch at the right of the screen. Yeah, now x will be 640 because it is at the right, and y is 11. Notice that the value does not change even when I move the cursor around. The value will be updated when I start touching the screen. And this will be really useful for our drag and drop UI. Let's start building a simple drag and drop UI. So this is what we have right now. I have a few boxes here with textures, but right now I cannot move them. So the goal of this part is that we are going to be able to drag these pieces around and reassemble them again and see what this picture is. The idea is that I will use the teleport nodon to keep teleporting objects, and the teleport nodon will follow where I touch the screen. The first step is that we need to fix the view of this game because you see, right now the camera position keeps changing when I move the screen around. So I'm going to add the game screen. For this game, I'm using the overhead view. I'm looking from the top and I'm looking at XZ plane. So in the game screen settings, you have to make sure that the viewport is overhead view. Let's increase the size so that we can see all the necessary pieces. Go to the settings again. Yeah, for the simplicity of this tutorial, please keep the position X and Z to be 0. Close it. So now we can see all the pieces. Okay, next, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to move the teleport Nodon to where I touch. So, to move the teleport Nodon around, I will need a free slide connector. And when I use the free slide connector, I need a base. So here I'm going to use a sphere for it. Go to the settings, remove all the properties. And then make sure that the position is at 0. So all X, Y, and Z must be 0. Okay, close it. Then I connect this one to the bottom part of the free slide connector. This will act as a base. When you create your own drag and drop UI, there is one thing that you have to be careful here. If all your draggable objects are boxes, the object here cannot be a box, because if you use this one as a box, there is a chance that you will accidentally move this. This must be different from the object that you are trying to move. And at the top of the free slide connector, I also add another sphere. This sphere is going to be where we connect the teleport Nodons. Go to the properties. Let's remove everything except movable. Also make sure that the connection point is from center to center. But let's add visible first so that we can see our sphere. Yeah, so now we can see the sphere here, but our goal is that I want the sphere to move to where I touch. This means that I need to read the touch position. And yeah, we need the touch position Nodon. But can we connect this X output here to X input of free slider? The answer is no, because the touch position X is from negative 640 to 640. But the free slider's inputs are relative to the game's position. So we have to translate the position of the screen into the game position first. So the idea is that we have to map the touch position into the game position. And currently our game screen has the size of X equal to 17.07 and Y equal to 9.6. So on the horizontal axis, we have to make sure that negative 640 would be mapped to negative 8.5 and 640 will be mapped to 8.5. On the vertical axis, we have to make sure that 360 is mapped to 4.8 and negative 360 is mapped to negative 4.8. Let's go back to the program screen. We can achieve that by adding a map Nodon. Connect X output into map and map output into free slide connectors X. Go to the map settings and change the input range to be negative 640 to 640. And the output range is from negative 8.5 to 8.5. And we are going to do a similar thing with Y output. So we send the touch position Y into map and the map output into Z of free slide connector. Why we are using Z? Because right now we are on the overhead view. So there are two axes X and Z. But if you are looking for the side view, this signal has to be sent to Y instead. Let's go to the map settings. Change input range to be from negative 360 to 360. Output range is from negative 4.8 to 4.8. Let's see if we can move that sphere around. So now when I touch the position here, yeah, the sphere will move here. If I touch there, the sphere will follow my touch position. But right now I cannot move these jigsaw pieces around. Let's do that. So at the top part, I have to add teleport entrance and teleport exit. Connect these two to the sphere. Make sure that both of them have the same ID. Then I'm going to go to the settings of teleport entrance. Remove visible property. Make sure that connection point is center to center. Teleport what? We only want to teleport a box. Proceed. But when should we teleport object? We should teleport when we touch the screen because we only move object when we drag on the screen. So I'm going to use if touched Nodon. Let's try. Okay. Yeah, it seems like when I hold this piece, I can move this piece around. Then after I release it, yeah, the teleport stops. Yeah, but there is one problem here. If I suddenly touch here, this piece will follow my cursor. That's because we start teleporting even before the sphere has reached the new destination. We have to add a slight delay to make sure that the sphere has reached the destination before we start teleporting an object. So here I'm adding a timer nodon to delay if touched output. Let's go to the timer settings. Output after, let's say, 0.1 second. Close it, and then we send the if touch signal into the timer. Then after 0.1 second, we have to turn on the flag. And when this flag is on, we will continuously teleporting an object. But right now the flag is never off, right? That means we will always enable the teleport. Yeah, when should we turn off the flag? That's when we are not touching the screen. So here I'm adding not Nodon. And if not touched, then we are going to turn off the flag. Okay, let's try it again. So now we can move these pieces around. Even if I tap here, yeah, this piece does not follow me. Okay, let's complete this puzzle. Yay, and that's it. That's our Pikachu jigsaw puzzles. Bye bye and see you next time in the coming live stream.